I have a confession that will make most of you uncomfortable, and frankly, I don't care. I am 102 years old, and my biggest regret isn't the things I've failed to do. It is the fact that I spent a century being a good woman. I spent 37,000 days following the rules, keeping my voice at a polite decibel, and putting everyone else's needs into the spotlight while I sat in the dark. It was a waste. A monumental, quiet, polite waste of a human life. I am sitting here at the very end of the line, and I realize now that my virtue was just a cage I built for myself, bar by bar, year by year. If I could go back to 1940, I wouldn't be the lady in the pearls and the pressed apron. I would be a riot. I would be the woman they warned you about in church. I would be the bad one. Society fed my generation a poison and called it medicine. They told us that if we sacrificed our souls, if we stayed small, if we were selfless enough, we would be rewarded with a blessed life. They lied. The only real reward for being a good woman is that people expect you to keep doing it until you are dead. They don't give you a trophy. They just give you more laundry, more expectations, and more silence. I'm done being good. I've retired from that industry, and I'm finally being honest. It's the most intoxicating thing I've ever felt. I think about Clara constantly these days. She was the bad girl in my town back in 1942. While the rest of us were marrying the safe boys and worrying about our reputations, Clara was living. She didn't marry the man her father chose. She wore red dresses when the rest of us wore gray and beige. She laughed too loud at the pictures, and she traveled to the city alone on the train just to see the jazz clubs. Back then, I looked at her with a mix of pity and judgment. I whispered with the other girls, "Poor Clara, she's ruining her future." I was a fool. Clara wasn't ruining her life. She was the only one of us who actually owned hers. Clara had fire in her eyes, even when she was tired. I had recipes and a clean house, but my eyes were dim by the time I was 30. She lived 1,000 lives in one. I just managed the furniture in one house for a century. My marriage was a desert, a vast, dry expanse where my dreams went to die for 40 long years. I stayed in a house where my only purpose was to be a mirror for someone else's ego. Why did I stay? Because good women don't leave. Because I was told that my endurance was my crown. I pressed his shirts until they were perfect. I managed his moods like a professional diplomat. I buried my own ambitions so deep in the garden of my mind that I eventually forgot they ever existed. I traded my only life, my only shot at existence, for a reputation that will be forgotten 5 minutes after my funeral. It was a bad trade, a terrible, soul-crushing trade. And most of you are making that same trade right now. Being good is just a fancy, polite word for being cowardly. I was afraid. I was terrified of my mother's judgment, even after she was dead. I was afraid of the neighbors' whispers over the fence. I was afraid of the church pews. I chose the safety of the cage over the danger of the sky. Don't make my mistake. Safety isn't a blessing. Safety is a slow, agonizing death that happens while you're still breathing. I see you young women today on your screens. You call it people-pleasing now. You call it having it all. But I recognize the look in your eyes. It's the same poison in a modern bottle. You are exhausting yourselves for people who wouldn't even stay for the duration of your funeral. You are trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect boss, the perfect mother, and you are becoming invisible in the process. Stop it. Just stop. Your goodness isn't a virtue. It's a lack of boundaries. You aren't being selfless. You are being erased. I remember 1955 vividly. I had a chance to study architecture. I loved the way lines could create space. I loved the idea of building something that would stand long after I was gone. But my husband looked at me and said, "Who will make the dinner? Who will look after the children?" So, I made the dinner. I made the dinner for 30 more years. I was a professional actress in the play of my own life, and I never even got to see the script before the curtain rose. I just did what I was told, played my part, and waited for an applause that never came. What a pathetic, hollow waste of a century. Let me tell you something about being liked. Being liked is a low-value currency. It's worthless. You can't trade it for more time. You can't trade it for genuine joy. In fact, the more people like you, the more they expect from you for free. It's a debt that never gets paid off. The interest just keeps growing until you're bankrupt. I wish I had been unlikable at 20. I wish I had been difficult. Difficult women are the only ones who get to keep their souls. The easy women are just footstools for the world. I hear my daughter-in-law whispering in the hallway when she thinks I'm napping. She tells her friends that I'm becoming cranky or difficult. No, dear, I'm just finished with the performance. I've retired from the good woman industry, and the pension is freedom. Total, glorious, terrifying freedom. For the first time in 102 years, I don't care if you like me. I don't care if you think I'm sweet. And let me tell you, it feels better than any compliment, any anniversary card, or any thank you I ever received in my life. True power isn't a motivational quote on a wall. It's the willingness to be the villain in someone else's story, so you can be the hero in your own. You have to be okay with being the bad person sometimes. If you aren't disappointing at least 3 people a day, you probably aren't living your own life. You're just living theirs. You are a character in their movie, a supporting role in their drama. When are you going to start your own? My plan for the time I have left is to be as difficult as possible. I am going to speak the truths that make the room go silent. I am going to eat what I want, drink what I want, and ignore every should and must that society tries to throw at my wrinkled face. I am finally a bad woman. But the tragedy is that I'm too tired to do anything with my rebellion except talk to this camera. Don't wait until you're too tired to fight back. Start your rebellion while you still have the energy to enjoy the fallout. I spent a century saying yes to things that made me miserable. I said yes to boring parties, yes to ungrateful relatives, and yes to a life that felt like a tight shoe. I am ending it with a thunderous no. No to the guilt. No to the expectations. No to the idea that my value is tied to how useful I am to other people. I am not a mother, a widow, or a saint. I am a human being, and I am finally, at long last, myself. If I could grab you by the shoulders right now, I would scream into your soul. Make them angry, disappoint them, break the plates. Make sure that when you are sitting in a chair at 102, you have a pile of memories that belong only to you, not a pile of thank you notes from people who used you up until you were a husk. Your life is not a gift for others to consume. It is a gift for you to experience. Don't wait for a someday to start being yourself. Someday is a graveyard where dreams are buried under good intentions. I am the ghost of your future, sitting here in the flickering light, telling you to wake up. Practice being the bad woman today. Wear the dress that's too much. Say no to that family event you dread without giving a single explanation. Speak the truth that makes your voice shake. Watch the fallout and realize you're still standing. You're still breathing, and for the first time, you're more alive than you were 5 minutes ago. The good women are the ones who die with the most regrets. They are the ones who look back and realize they were just background characters in their own lives. I don't want that for you. I want you to be the storm. I want you to be the one who makes people uncomfortable because you are too authentic to be contained. I was a good woman for 100 years, and all it got me was a quiet room and a heavy heart. Don't follow me. Lead yourself. The sun is setting now, and the shadows are long. I have a glass of wine waiting for me, A wine I'm going to drink because I want to, not because it's appropriate for an old lady. I'm done with appropriate. I'm done with being a lady. I'm done with being good. I'm just me. And that, for the first time in a century, is finally enough. I want to know the truth. What good thing are you doing right now that you secretly hate? What would you do tomorrow if you stopped caring about being liked? Leave a comment below. I'll be sitting here in my small rebellion, reading every word you write. Subscribe to this channel if you're brave enough to hear the truths that everyone else is too polite to say. Goodbye for now, and please try to be a little less good today. You'll thank me in 80 years.